Hi everybody, Nick McDonald here. Welcome to this week's Russell 2000 market commentary. What we have here is the monthly chart, and you can see some astonishing strength there. Just after trying to push down on that monthly, really strong push back up, having not really sold down to either of the levels I talked about, down around 750 or down towards 700. We haven't got down to either of those levels, and we've just pushed up really strong. Now, stocks have had a strong week across the board, but we've got a real question to ask here, and that is the Russell leading the market, or is it actually lagging? And the reason I ask that is because it's the strongest of all of the index markets. We'll look at them in a moment, but it's the strongest by far. It's pulled right back, almost back to previous highs. And so is it going to pull other markets up, or actually the fact that other markets are still lagging behind, are they likely to fall and also drag the Russell downward with them? So we've got to assess the major markets here and get a bigger picture view, but that monthly chart, looking at that, looks very strong. However, a concern, of course, is we've still got this resistance up here, which isn't going away, which is major, and which is even more pronounced when we come and look at it on daily and weekly charts. One thing is, and these lines haven't changed, remember these are lines that have just been drawn on my charts for a long time, this level at 830 has just been sitting there waiting for price to come and test and interact with these levels, and price came up, and even though it only had a little sell-off, it's around about 9 full points there on the Russell, having come up and touched 830 and falling straight off again. That just looks a little bit bearish there on the daily chart. Coming to the weekly though, there's absolutely no denying this looks strong. Let's bearing in mind this resistance, we've talked about that. We've got two significant touches there when we look at it on the weekly, as well as a little bit higher, around about 850. Strong touches. We're very close to that now, but the weekly does look bullish. We've pulled right back into the buy zone, bullish candle breaking up through. We've got resistance in the way, which is the thing that kind of balances that out. However, you can't deny the strength of that trend. The trend there on the weekly looks really strong. So we've got some mixed opinions though. Monthly still overextended, but a very bullish monthly candle. Daily looking a little bit weak, having got overextended and found resistance, but the weekly looking strong and looking like it could push up to new highs. Let's just have a look at this, and just bear in mind the look of this daily chart here. It's come right back up, and it's tested this previous high from back on, the exact date there is the 4th of March, and we're pretty close to this previous high. Let's look at the Dow first, because the Dow is the next strongest of the index markets. Again, if we just start with the monthly, it's very bullish in terms of this very bullish monthly candle, but it sold off further back towards the levels where I was looking for it to pull back to. So we're looking for around about this 11,270 on the Dow, and it came pretty close, certainly compared to the Russell, it came close. So it's had a more decent sell-off, and now is a little bit more in a better position for a good move up. The weekly chart, like the Russell, just looks really strong. Had a good strong pullback right back to the buy zone, even a little bit beyond it, and then a bullish candle breaking up through the high. Nowhere near as close to these previous highs yet, but looking very strong and looking on the Dow like it should break up. And also bearing in mind, nowhere near the resistance that the Russell has, so nothing really stopping the Dow going higher. And we've had a really strong week as well. We just haven't quite got as close up to these previous highs yet, but the Dow does look quite strong. However, let's look at the S&P, because the S&P should be showing similar strength, and it's not really. We're still in a downtrend here on the S&P, and the Dow and the Russell have kind of gone into a period of no trend, whereas the S&P is still in a downtrend. We're still making lower highs and we're still making lower lows. We just had a really good pullback here, and I'd like to just draw a Fibonacci line in from where that pullback began all the way down to the low. And we've had a pretty decent pullback, and 78% is really like the last line of defense, really. If it pulls back up beyond that, it's likely to keep on going higher if it pulls back significantly beyond that. So really I'll be watching to see, can it break up through 78%, can it break up through these highs? If it does, it's looking like going up. But for right now, it's still in a downtrend. The downtrend's very much intact. We're still making lower highs. Therefore, I'd be anticipating a lower high somewhere before here based on that chart. Now let's come and look at the NASDAQ, because NASDAQ really has been a market leader lately across, for quite some time. The NASDAQ seems to have moved first, and other markets have followed suit. And this chart's not looking too pretty with gaps and things on it, but again, we're just undeniably in a downtrend. We're making lower highs. We've just pulled up. In fact, we've got a nice bearish candle there as well. We're making lower lows. This is looking bearish, and even the weekly on the NASDAQ is looking a little bit bearish, because we've come down. We should have had a bounce at this point right here, when we had these bullish candles and broke up through. Instead, we made a lower high and we continued down. even this weekly is starting to look a little bit bearish, and coming to the monthly, once again, we're still a long way from the averages, and we're just due that pullback into them. So we're getting a really mixed bag across here, and that's the one reason I can't just say, for example, look at a weekly chart on the Russell and say, okay, the weekly is bullish, I'm going to be bullish, because I can't base it on one thing. I'll base it on multiple things. I'm looking at major markets, I'm looking at multiple time frames. So we have a bullish looking weekly, we have a bearish looking daily, we have a bullish candle on the monthly, but at major resistance, which kind of counters that out. For me, this becomes a little bit of a wait and see week. It becomes a week where I'll focus more on intraday trading than I would on swing trading, because on a swing trade basis here, there is no clear trend. We've made a lower low, we've made a higher high. The Russell is not trending, there's no clear momentum. That's what happens when amateurs, as compared to professionals, are controlling the market. We make lower lows, we make higher highs, we make lower highs, we make higher lows. That means there's no trend. We're just going into a period of range and consolidating, no clear trend, but there's fantastic intraday opportunities. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on trading the gap on the Russell, and since then this gap has been phenomenal. It was phenomenal before I did that, and that's why I did a video about it, but since then again we've just had some really strong gap closes. One there on Friday, another one here on Thursday, another one here on Wednesday. So these gaps have just been really closing strongly. Some of my best trading in the last few weeks has been on the gap close, and that's just an example of an intraday strategy which I employ while the daily charts are not looking too strong for me. Not looking so, all the swing trading charts, the higher time frame charts, when they're not looking quite so certain for me. So a little bit of a wrap up there, a little bit of a summary. I am unconvinced as to the direction on stocks. There's been some really good strength this week. However, I'm just uncertain as to where they're going next. We've got a mixed bag, not only across time frames on the Russell, but also across major equity markets. It's not a great sign that both the S&P and the Nasdaq are showing weakness as compared to the Dow and the Russell, which are showing a bit more strength. At the moment, it's 50-50 for me as to where these markets go next. I'll stay on the sidelines. I'll wait and see if we can break up through those highs and start to make higher highs across the weekly charts and breaking through resistance. I'll be looking to join in that trend pretty quickly. For now, though, it's too uncertain, too volatile, and I will wait and see with a focus on intraday trading. Have a great week, everybody. I hope that helps, and speak to you soon.